Thanks to our Marchathon's $1,000 goal reached, I promised to unretire in professional Smash for 6 months and document my journey in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Smash Ultimate, and now newly upon released for Nintendo Networks, Smash for Wii U and 3DS. I even wanted to participate in some 64, but unfortunately no luck in that department. Anyway, if you're new here, my name is SuperGirlKels, and today's vlog, I am looking over my first month of being unretired as an overview and seeing how the journey is going so far. So on March 29th was when this whole thing started, okay? From then until April 29th, I have competed in a total of 15 tournaments, 2 locals, 6 online events, and 7 regionals that were sometimes even a D tier. The games that were included was 1 Super Smash Bros. 3DS tournament, 1 Super Smash Bros. Brawl tournament, 6 Smash Bros. Ultimate singles events, and 7 Smash Bros. Doubles events. To start off this challenge, I wanted to go to some local weeklies to help me prepare an Unrust. No better place to do that at the Noodle Empire weeklies, every Thursdays at 7:30 Eastern Time. Now, I posted about the NE weeklies that I attended in 2 short diary entries as a testing ground for this documentary, but these tournaments were the absolute best way to help me get back into shape for things for Ultimate. So I won't spend much time here at all, and you can go watch the shorts I posted on my channel. I remember everyone, though, being so kind to me, watching my sets on stream, and even giving crazy reactions whenever I did something cool, or popping off for their friends whenever they took a stock or even game off of me. I don't know, it made me feel remembered, important, like I was actually good. Definitely boosted my confidence and ego a little bit for this whole run. The 2 last sets from both tournaments is where I learned so much from. Saloom and Dario LMM. First, Saloom, a player that when I was competing was basically a baby boy in the scene, learning to compete and is now one of the best Pokemon trainers waiting for a big breakout moment in Lumi rank at any second now. He was always so close to taking off a set on me, but now I'm the one who has to get even close to taking a set on him. I was beyond proud to see just how he and everyone got while I was away. Dario MMM also gave me such a great match because he was teaching me about patience. I had to completely learn how to stay away from Diddy, when to go in from Diddy, and stay in that burst range zone, which I completely forgot how to do. Him and Saloom really gave me the good goal concepts on what I'm going to want to improve in the next 6 months. Biggest flaws that I kept being called out for were my jump habits, cornering myself, pressuring and winning neutral, but then suddenly retreating as if I'm scared, respecting too much, which I think also comes from fear, and I also have some really predictable edge guards that I need to work on. Though, while I've been retired, for some reason, I've seen huge improvements in my RAR, which in English terms is basically when you put out an aerial and fastball it to force air dodge or defensive options upon landing into grabs or any options to catch them on landing. I've also really improved in tech chasing, surprisingly. This is a thing that I've been wanting to get good since like 2015. I was just never able to do, but all of a sudden now it seems natural to me. It just took 10 years to do it. And finally, there's some new setups that I was doing, especially with up tilt and up air, which is great. After these 2 weeklies, I stopped attending the locals. And the only reason is because my static partner, Kiwi, found an online stacked doubles weekly that would help us prepare for Gommel later in July. So let's move on to this as a focus. Let's talk about Howling at the Moon, a series that has over 100 weeklies done at this point that brings the best and most dedicated doubles teams against each other every Thursday night at 10 p.m. So that's why I can't really go to Noodle. On our very first week, these teams showed us just how rusty we were, as we haven't really competed seriously since Collision 2022. We have competed together in recent times, but both me and Kiwi are retired and do not train at all for this game. So even though we've competed there, we have not really prepped seriously for an event since Collision. In any case, we were put in our place really quick. 2 out of the 4 weeklies so far put us into the losers bracket round 1. Yikes. But it's a good thing, because we were able not only to play more sets, but we were able to find our biggest weaknesses, improve them, and as well as only further expand on our greatest strengths. For those who don't know, Kiwi's also my girlfriend now, so surprise! So naturally, this is just great bonding time every Thursday night at 10 p.m. It's kind of become our thing. While we're taking on these teams and growing as a team, we're also on a Discord call, just talking about life, venting, and at the same time improving our competitive ass drives. So far, we managed to achieve 5th, 4th, 4th, and 5th. We love consistency, but we're not satisfied. But we'll be back next week. So far as a team, we found out that our biggest struggle is getting KOs. And that's pretty obvious, as it has always been our issue as Pac-Man and Sonic. Both characters, Pac-Man and Sonic, have really strong knockback and can rack up damage very easily. But the initial setups for KOs are all through, well, setups, not just plain hits. Especially when you're fighting a top player, you can't just throw out smashes and stuff. It's just not going to work. So we tend to lose to characters with the ability to simply just KO, like all the big boys on the screen. We have such a consistent team kill combo, and with more practice, we'll continue to improve our synergy. And remember that once someone is at, let's say, 80%, Pac-Man or Sonic's forward smash is just going to KO. We just got to get those grabs on lock. Now, with the first weeklies and doubles tournaments out of the way, it's time to attack our first regional. This is actually the first big problem of this marathon, and it's going to get a little deep here. My mentality and anxiety over the pressure and ego that I created in my head over the first week of competing again was the biggest issue of this marathon so far. As some of you might know, I played Super Smash Bros. Professionally for 10 years. For some, professionally means very differently than what top players see it as. When I retired, it was this big deal and I was crying on the camera and stuff. And it's not a big deal for me for not being able to play the game. But when I retired, it was a big deal because I was no longer playing it as my job. Like, to be clear, that retirement video was me quitting my job, and I've never quit. Smash Bros. Was my main source of income and was my only job from 2017 to 2023. The pressure to win and please sponsors, partnerships, having your brand growth, and all that being based on a win can really get to your head. There was a point in 2018 that the game stopped being a game to me and was really just a job, of course, that I loved. But when you do something for so long, you tend to lose that dopamine. It just becomes another day of your life. And eventually you forget your purpose of why you're even doing something in the first place. And I'm not going to be talking about this expecting pity in the chat. Like, this is something I earned. I worked hard to get something that I was so grateful and so good at. And like, I just didn't expect the toll it would have on my mental health and physical health. And a lot of people just don't see that. And it's all part of the challenge. And it's like any job, right? Any job has its flaws. And this is the flaw of being a professional gamer. The main reason for my retirement in 2023 was, yes, as I said in interviews, is because I simply didn't enjoy Smash Bros. Ultimate as a competitive game. But I never really spoke about the other half of the reason until the recent Noodle Empire podcast that I was on in March. Because this game was truly destroying my well-being, both physically and mentally. From the intense anxiety attacks to fainting spells, the toll I was putting on my compromised already immune system. I was undiagnosed for urticaria at the time, and I had lack of sleep because I was always traveling or training. I had a very strict travel schedule. I was always either jet lagged or just preparing for the next event. I also just had this overreaching pressure that I built on myself, not from anybody else, but you start to learn that needing to please everybody is the only way you are going to survive in this field specifically. And needing to get paid definitely took over my entire life, and I just didn't want it anymore. I had manipulated my mind to be trained to think and feel a certain way when I compete. When we started this marathon goal and I reached it, I was, of course, going to just do this for fun and playing the game in my style that so many of you love makes me happy. I wasn't thinking about the pressure at all because I was like, oh man, I'm finally going to play Smash because it's fun and it's going to be for entertainment purposes. That's the whole reason why I even started it. Until I walked into the first regional LaCon in Sherbrooke, that I would soon be hit by the flashback of pressure and weight that I would put on my shoulders again. And we need to address it. LaCon, a French tournament held on our very first week back to competing, was March 29th to March 30th, a 2-day convention regional that was held in Sherbrooke, QC, making it our first 2-day event of the marathon. Day 1 couldn't have been more perfect. Because it's a convention, there was loads of content for me to make. and entertainment is my specialty. For the first time, I vlogged live at the event for 4 hours on my iPad, and even though there were some low Wi-Fi moments, oh Lord sweet Jesus, everyone really enjoyed it. I got to look at a bunch of really cool stuff, including new items for my retro collection, which I ended up finding Tears of the Kingdom physically for like $50. That's super cheap, Canadian, by the way. But there was just like tattoos available, stickers, notebooks, etc. There was just a lot to do at this event. Even a Sonic Adventure setup where I was basically there the entire time. We're playing Sonic 2 with my doubles partner. Maybe that's why our synergy was really good at the event. Oh my god, it makes sense, guys. Play Sonic 2 together and you'll be the greatest team ever. Let's get into doubles while we're at it. I teamed up with Kel, a prominent Ken and Corrin player who retired near the time I did.
So we went into this like a couple of grannies.
But not bad for the grannies, because
We ended up taking second.
we lost to Sora and Vic, but we put up such a great fight. Game 5, the first time I ever went to Game 5 against Sora and Vic. These guys have been the demon of doubles since Sora left me as a static partner, and I don't blame him. Steve and Kazuya is, I think, the best team in the game besides Steve. It's basically free wins. If you go against Kazuya, you're dead. If you go against Steve, you're dead. So when you put the best Kazuya and the best Steve in Canada together, yeah, you're going to get some shit happen. So the fact that we got second and going to Game 5 against Sora and Vic was pretty amazing. We also took out really amazing teams during the entire tournament. There was no free team at all. Our synergy was surprisingly so natural, our follow-ups and everything. So I'd really like to team with him in future events whenever Kiwi's not around and whenever he does go to events since he is retired. In pools, it also went really well. I streamed that, ended up making day 2 without dropping a single game. I was feeling on fire. And of course, that's where the problem started. During this week, I was on week 2 of my weight loss journey and was very hyper-focused on calorie counting. I had breakfast in the early and was able to hold off and not eat anything until around 8 p.m. for dinner, where I had the rest of my needed calories. When it comes to my body, you guys know I have chronic urticaria, I mentioned before. I sometimes get really low blood pressure. I have ADHD, if you can't tell. But the biggest thing is I have an anxiety disorder. Mix those together, and it's a beautiful whirlwind of a hurricane waiting to happen. The thing is, with my anxiety, it never hits me during a very big moment. I can be on a fight or flight moment. The plane could be crashing, and I won't be nervous. I'm going to just act. Maybe that's the ADHD. Like, I don't feel anything tense in that moment. Things tend to happen after everything, once I've recovered from the situation subconsciously. With everything I did day 1, including streaming, randomly joining the Rivals 2 tournament, not eating, getting second in doubles, playing singles, and recording content. So with all this built-up stress that I don't let out in a healthy manner, my day 2 was an absolute mess. The first sign on day 2 was basically when I woke up. I noticed that I was a bit more zoned out than usual and had a headache. But I walked it off because, whatever, I'm tired. I'm at a tournament. We get tired and headaches happen. Moving on. But when I got to the venue, I was nervous. I don't get nervous, okay? Like, I just don't. When it comes to Smash, being on stage, performing, things like that, I just don't get nervous. It's very rare. At least not consciously. My stomach was in knots right there, right under there. You know, like I just like felt so nauseous, so tense. My lips were shaking. I was shivering. I went to my mom and I go, Mom, I'm so nervous. And I was literally shaking. I couldn't sit still. My mind was racing and all I could think about was that I had to play my ultimate demon in bracket, my brother Sora. Now, if you guys know, he's about 100 sets over me, and I've taken like 4. I'm very proud of those 4. And I don't usually care because I'm just like, whatever, I expect to lose. It's Steve and it's Jay, and I don't play this game. Like, whatever, let's get it over with, and I get to support my brother going to top 8. Whatever. And I think what threw me off, I'm someone who needs to be in control and plan my schedules and everything. And unfortunately, the original top 16 seed that I was supposed to fight to make it into top 8 was Kel, my doubles partner, who DQ'd. So I had an automatic win going into Sora right away to qualify for top 8. So Sora was going to be the first match that I was going into for this tournament. That really screwed me up, and I don't understand still to this day why, but I really wanted the win. And it's fine in moderation to want wins. You're competitive. That's good. We're a competitive drive. We want to win. We don't want to be like, yeah, whatever, like we're going to lose, you know? But it's good in moderation, because when you start wanting the win so much, you start overstressing about it. And I think that's exactly what I did. My mind was flying way past beyond expectations and where I was in the present. I started thinking about my future, what I needed to do to win, to make sure I become the best player I can in 6 months, make Lumi rank, because I saw a tweet that morning that, like, let's see if you could get Lumi rank. And I was like, oh, okay, now there's a new goal. I got so lost in the old job mindset that my entire day was ruined. I felt so sick, and not once I wanted to be in that venue. I felt trapped with nowhere to go. When I played my brother, let's just say it was the most embarrassing set of my life. Not because I lost, but because of how I played. You could see the anxiety in the gameplay, from hesitant decisions to forceful interactions, and of course, the moment I give up and walk off stage, which I just never knew. I was on the verge of tears because of letting myself feel the way I felt, and I unfortunately kept it inside as it continued to boil throughout the day. This was the first thing in the day, so we still had like a whole 8 hours to go. With all this anger and self-doubt, I also decided not to eat again because I did great yesterday, so I'm just going to do the same thing today where I had breakfast and then I'm just going to eat later. No problem. But I wasn't considering all the calories I was probably burning and energy I was burning from this stress alone and yesterday's stress. I ended up winning my next few sets mindlessly. And it's made very clear on webcams looking back now that I was not having fun at all. I wanted to go home. This wasn't about the marathon, documenting the fun side of competitive Smash. This was the job that I now did for over 20 hours for 2 days, and I was about to come home from. I didn't realize how frustrated I was, nor how hungry I was, or how lonely I felt at this event with no friends present, so I couldn't talk about my feelings. I was feeling burnt out already on week 1. This was not good. I ended up placing 3rd, which is great, but I didn't really care because I was too busy being in my head. When the tournament was over, I got my prize on their stage, and my brother asked about how I was doing because I looked a bit pale. I thought I was fine, just frustrated and wanted to leave, and maybe I was just tired. It wasn't until Vic, who was in our carpool, mentioned that he was hungry, and then it clicked in my head that, oh God, I haven't eaten yet, and at this point, it's like 4 p.m. We ate at like 9 a.m., so I was getting pretty hungry. So remember my anxiety, I said, like, things hit me after it's done. I'll be so high in the moment, whatever, everything's gonna be good, but then after, everything just crashes on me. Well, it hit me. All at once, every issue I had hit me. As soon as I left the venue with Soren Vic, I was beginning to feel extremely dizzy and nauseous. And when we got into my mom's car, I began to shake. I felt really car sick really quickly. And she noticed and asked if I was okay. And I told her, we really need to stop. I'm not okay. My vision was becoming blurry, like whitened. Not like fainting where it's like double spots, but I was literally seeing, like when you have low blood pressure, if anyone here has, or low sugar, but everything becomes kind of hazy. And I felt confused. I wanted to throw up. My mind was racing, and every voice and sound was so loud. Even my brother's phone, a little ding, it was so loud. I wasn't breathing properly, and I felt my heart beating out of my chest. I thought I was going to get a heart attack. I thought I was dying in the moment, but I knew exactly what was happening. I was having an anxiety attack. We ended up stopping at some goddamn McDonald's because it was the closest thing to us besides a gas station. I couldn't even get the first bite of chicken nuggets down my throat because I thought I was going to be so sick. The entire time everyone was eating at the table, I was just quiet, just so tense, trying to ground myself. I was remembering my therapist of grounding and just feeling and being in the present moment. And at that point, you know, I'm at like a level 8, 10 anxiety attack. Like, I'm not doing this stuff, but I was still trying anyway. But my mom, bless her, really helped because she was just reminding me, like, you know, you're going to feel better after you eat something. That's the first step, because I needed to eat. So I got my chicken nugget kids meal and I started forcing a few bites. And by the second nugget, the nausea was going away. 5 minutes later, and lots of grounding. My colors were finally coming back. I was getting these rosy cheeks, and the shaking was slowing down. So that's when my mom just had to ask the damn question. What's wrong? She just had to ask. She just had to ask. She just had to ask. I cried and cried and cried. I let it out like a goddamn river, guys. The shaking stopped immediately. My vision came back to normal. I didn't feel confused. Everything was just back. I had an anxiety attack, not a panic attack like I usually get. I don't get them often, but this was an eye-opener. It was a reminder of why I quit in the first place. And I got it all out. And next thing I know, I was back to myself, but I was exhausted. Once everything was back to normal in the car, it was me, my brother, and Vic. We all discussed my marathon and maybe needing to cancel the entire thing. I just was thinking about, is this the right thing to do for myself? And my mom really wanted me to just cancel and that I can't do this, and reminding me why I quit in the first place. But I just couldn't do it. I couldn't quit because I just had a bad day. Because the truth is, I enjoyed competing so far this first week. I was enjoying Ultimate for the first time in a long time. I decided to speak about this with someone the only person who would understand me. My girlfriend Kiwi, who was a top competitor since Brawl and a woman in the scene. She's also very heavily involved in my brand and my content and has seen all my vlogs. So she knows what I'm about and what I would do for you guys. She also reminded me about what this marathon is even about. We set some realistic goals for me to achieve to keep my competitive drive up while also managing my health accordingly. And thank God, because this really helped. So here's the focus of the marathon going forward. It's no longer about how good can I get in 6 months, but more about what can I learn as a professional Smash player in 6 months. What is it like being in the shoes of a competitor in today's time in Smash? And of course, improving not only in game, but mentality as well. Can I remember in 6 months, teach myself to just play the game and not have that as a job, which is a really good challenge for me. This helped a lot, but it motivated me to continue stronger than ever. After that talk, all of the stress was out, and I slept like a baby in the car for 2 hours. I was exhausted, but never so motivated for the next event. So whatever happened that week was just fuel for the next event. It was time to zone in and just learn to be present for the next regional, which was 1 week away. It was time to say our prayers for, literally, that's the name of the event. It's a big regional in Quebec City. It happens every single year on the same damn weekend, and it's what a lot of Eastern Canada players look forward to. Held on April 5th and contrasting LaCon, this was an amazing experience, and I think it had everything to do with my mindset. I spent the week mentally preparing myself. So I focused on rest. It's actually why that week I wasn't even live a lot. I think it's what made the event so much more enjoyable to me because I was being honest with myself, finally. Because this event happens every year, I already felt at home. I had good friends come out this time, so we were able to chat. And I ended up streaming the entire doubles and singles pool matches and melee singles on my stream live in a vlog session, which went way better in terms of quality this time around. Most importantly, I made sure to eat. I kept up eating habit of just eating healthy, but ate more frequently in smaller portions. So yeah, that's kind of what I was supposed to do maybe in the first place. I teamed up with Babino this time, or should I say the Baby Goat. We never teamed before, but we're pretty excited because, well, our original static partners Vic and Soar ditched us, so we teamed up together and called ourselves the Ex-Girlfriends. We learned a lot together, but unfortunately we were clashing a lot from the lack of experience as a team, and we tend to have the same ideas, play style, so we kept hitting each other a lot or retreating to the same areas when we wanted to respect each other's position, and it caused us to make some big mistakes like taking each other's stocks. Because we actually did go to Game 5 with Sword Vic, but then got completely washed in the next set because of those mistakes. Second place is still pretty great, and it was an honor teaming with the Baby Goat. Now, before moving on to singles, in Melee, I don't really focus on this and didn't really include this in the whole marathon thing because, let's be honest, there's just no hope for me. But I joined it because it's fun. Why not? Let's do it. I ended up playing 5th. Anyway, Ultimate Singles, I had also an amazing time. Every set I had was a banger, and not only was I enjoying playing the game, but everyone was enjoying watching me play on stage again. It gave me the sense of entertainment I love, so seeing people smile at what I was doing was making me happy. And I did some crazy new setups that I'm beyond proud of and had a blast, even when I lost to host goddamn Meta Knight again. I always lose to Meta Knight. I got 7th. Yay! Once I was out, I was entirely focused on fun. I played some randoms with friends, cheered on my brother for top 8, who ended up taking the entire tournament, and got some damn good food at midnight. It was a success. Now, going back to the Howling at the Moon event, one of those weeklies, we ended up running into these really kind girls in the event that we had to play. They ended up telling us about an all-women's online doubles tournament that they were hosting online called The Bab Is Well, The Babby's Well, What the fuck does that even mean? Me and Kiwi don't usually participate in women-only tournaments, but our heart goes where doubles goes, and of course, the competition. On April 13th, we were welcomed to such a stacked event. TOs were holding this from Mexico, and there was a 1,000 peso pot on the line, so people were really excited, including us. Until we had to fight the sets. Okay, guys, there's this stigma in Smash and games in general that when girls play games, it's either for their boyfriends, right? Or it's just casual, and I like Kirby, and I play as Kirby, and I use the rock, and that's like the stigma, you know what I mean? That's a fucking lie, okay? The real stigma is every woman mains Zelda. Every single team we had to play. Take a look at the graphic too, even the top 8, okay? Count the Zeldas. Every team we had to play, except for one, had Zelda, including the double Zelda team. Obviously, I'm kidding. There's nothing wrong with maining whatever character you want, but it's just funny, you know? Like, we're trying to kill this stigma, and then it's like, now we're all gonna main Zelda. You know, the truth is, if you're a lesbian, you're gonna main Sonic. Anyway, we ended up winning the tournament, which makes our first tournament win a part of this marathon. But we didn't take it easily. In winners finals and grand finals, we had to take on the best Wii Fit trainer in Mexico, Lisby. Let me tell you about this queen, okay? First, I'm pretty consistent and very knowledgeable in the Wii Fit matchup, thanks to one of my best friends, Big T, but many Wii Fits, including some of the very best I've competed with and against during the years. But this girl was different. She did not main Wii Fit, okay? She mained Ring Fit. You got it? Her movement, combo setups, kill setups, her placement, her positioning, her patience, the neutral. She nearly 2v1'd me and Kiwi, having 2 stocks each with her on 1, and was very close to taking it. She and her partner Lisby ended up resetting the bracket, giving us such a hard time that we had to restructure our entire strategy as a team. But then we really started to focus and remember, what is the weakness that Wii Fit has? Well, approaching. So we really focused on Lisby and really tried luring in Calico, which helped greatly and secured us a 3-0 victory in the grand finals. Yippee. But goddamn Calico, by far the greatest Wii Fit trainer I've ever played in my life. And that was just online, in doubles. Now that that's done, it's time for our next regional, which is literally 1 week later. So there was just no breaks for me this month. We're headed to the most important tournament of the month, Underground Empire 2, held on April 12th. And what makes this tournament so important is not only am I competing at my favorite venue that's literally in my neighborhood, but I'm hosting the Super Smash Bros. Brawl 16-man capped tournament. And competing in singles ultimate. And hosting the stream. I was about to have a test to take care of myself. It was going to be such a great test for my mentality and physical well-being. Did I learn anything from the past 2 weeks? Yes, I did perfect. I got to the tournament a bit early before 4 p.m., which was when my pool was starting for Ultimate, to set up Brawl. What already made this very different and welcoming was Brawl was hosted in a very secluded area away from the crowd. There was 2 setups I brought, 2 CRTs. I also brought my Mac so that I could stream. This made it very nice and enjoyable for everybody, and it was next to the door too, so it was a beautiful breeze in the spring air. It was also free to play as a side bracket, and we live streamed on my channel. I prepared all the graphics during the event and set everything up through my Mac to deliver 60 FPS Brawl to the world of Twitch.
By the way, you could go watch the Vods now on SGKVlogs. Check it out.
Once everything was set up, I did my ultimate pool and run first to prioritize so that I can give my entire energy on the Brawl tournament starting at 7:30 p.m. Let me tell you, this was the shortest, most stacked regional I've ever played in, at least in a bit. So this tournament had a 64-man capped bracket. That's the whole thing about this tournament. It's why it's so popular. Like, imagine round 2, me playing Aiko, the best snake in Canada. Guess who lost again? Because we can't be Snake for the life of me. I was in loser's bracket by round 3. All right. And in there, I had to fight Elot, a grand finals match I would do usually at a weekly. That's the kind of tournament this was. So this kind of tournament was very much a big stress for players. And it was an intensely difficult time for all the competitors. The pressure that I put on myself just 2 weeks ago was now being seen on people's faces everywhere in the venue. People were stressed, especially the top players of the tournament. So I had an idea. Once I somehow qualified into the top 16, beating Ilut and one of the Palutena demons of my life. Yo, I play Godlike though, for real. Like, guys, you don't understand. Like, fuck Palupuka. But yo, I was moving. It was 3-1. Woo! Anyway, I grabbed a megaphone, okay, in the venue. It was on the table. I asked permission and I raised my stage and I basically announced Brawl's tournament at 7:30 p.m. I talked about how it's going to be a great way to relax. It's going to be fun, learn some amazing patience and fundies that only come from Brawl. The 16-man bracket was capped in minutes. Originally, the tournament of Brawl was going to start at 7, but because I said 7:30, I wanted more time to put everything together. Didn't matter if it was 30 minutes late, because I ended up running the tournament and we ended at 10:30, 11 o'clock. We even had a good 6 people that came to me after the tournament who wanted to learn net play and join the Brawl community to learn it seriously. So that's a success. Now, Kels, did you eat? Because this sounds like a lot. I ate very slowly, which is fine. I ended up getting dinner at 6 p.m. and slowly ate from then till 8:30 p.m. It just was, I was running and then take a bite. But at least I was eating. And it kept me going the entire night. In Ultimate, I ended up losing to Teroxix. Again, this is another 7th place, so still staying consistent. So far, I've lost to Teroxix at every set, but this was the first time we played where I felt incredibly lost. I don't really have a plan versus this character. I feel like he's very out of the norm in terms of my game plan as Sonic versus Sora. His disjoints really throw me off. His hitboxes very throw me off. It feels like how I used to feel against Rob back in Brawl. But he was so kind. He spent about 5 to 8 minutes with me, talking to me when I asked, look, I don't know what I'm doing against this character. And he gave me genuinely amazing tips, including reaching out to Blue Jay, another top Sonic in the scene, who plays him a lot, apparently. So he's very, very knowledgeable in this matchup. So Blue Jay, I'm coming to you very, very soon. As for my own run in Brawl, I was the only person in that bracket specifically who played Brawl professionally at the very start of my career. So I did win. Surprise! But shoutouts to Nightfall, an up-and-coming Brawl Olimar who gave my Sonic a hard time and forced me to switch to Kirby. Nightfall is the most passionate Brawl player I've ever met, and we bonded a lot over the years because of our newly found love for Pikmin that I started last year. It was a great time, and after everyone left around 11:30, I ended up staying till about 12:31 in the morning to start rendering the Vods to upload. I made the top 8 graphic, and then packed up my CRT TVs to my car, bringing them back to my condo and my computer, and cleaned up all the area for the Noodle team. It was another successful tournament that I was very okay to get home at 2 a.m. for. After 3 weeks in a row of regionals, I was very happy to spend Easter weekend with my family. I decided to treat myself and spend 4 days doing absolutely nothing besides seeing my family, where my mom even gave me Pikmin 1 and 2 on Switch for Easter. So for 3 days, I did absolutely nothing but that. It was the perfect way to just regenerate and just feel myself again. Now that the weekend was over, I was rested and ready to go. It was time for the final 2 events of the month. The first local that became a damn TD tier somehow was the Rosemount Tournament on April 26th, just a few days ago. There's only 50 players, but a stacked amount of pros, so it was looking to be like the Underground Empire 2.0. It was held by MGC and Smash North America, and the venue was at a college, which already made things very welcoming to me. It felt like we were just playing Smash at a school or something, and I haven't seen so many of these faces in so long, as this was more of an Eastern Montreal side, which was an hour drive away from me. I got to talk with Smock, Z, with Cream, and the others, and I got some really good laughs with everybody. It was nice catching up with everybody. What motivated to get into the top 8 was their announcement that the top 8 was going to be held in the auditorium. Bitch, we're going in. I ended up steamrolling my bracket up until Z, who we haven't played since I retired back in 2023 in singles. It was really good. We ended up talking like very much in between games and laughing and remembering and teaching each other how to like camp and be patient with Sonic Diddy, because that's the matchup. And we were giving each other heart attacks. He kept like putting his hand on his chest. Each match was over. There was no webcams, but it was really funny. Each time he did that, I was kind of like smirking because I was feeling the exact same. It was a rush that I really enjoyed. I missed playing against him. So even though I lost 3-1, I ended up securing my spot in top 8, defeating the rising Inkling player, Rolly. In top 8, however, I wasn't really proud of my performance. I kept doing really weird misinputs and smash attacks from like the Z button. Maybe it was the rust, maybe it was the nerves, maybe it was lack of stamina. I ate, so I don't know, man. But I lost those games to Bebino, and each time it happened, he would look at me like knowing I didn't want those misinputs, but it is what it is. I end up getting yet another 7th place. Another consistent placement, but I'm not yet satisfied because I don't like losing because I did mistakes. I like losing because I lost. So I want that rematch. So we're not done. Last event of the month, and it's on the exact same day. Originally during the Rosemount tournament, I was going to stick around the event, get some food with some friends later on, but as soon as I saw 2 major pop-ups on my phone, I stormed out of that building faster than Sonic ever could. There's a Smash 3DS tournament happening at 5:30. I looked at my watch. It was currently 3:30 in the afternoon. I live an hour away from the venue. Let's go home. Once I got home at 4:45, I registered just as the signups were ending in 15 minutes. There were 10 players from across the globe, literally like UK, US, Canada, and more. Amongst them was one of my best friends, Moth, who played 3DS competitively back in the day. So we hopped on a call and spent the entire tournament laughing, crying, and competing alongside each other. Anyway, we had to play round 1 and we had to body each other. It was very fun. In winners finals, I had to play MBA, a very talented top Rob from the Smash 4 days. The first set I won 3-0, with our grand final set supposed to be streamed, but because it became so unbearably laggy, I requested to play off, where he resetted the bracket 3-1. I was suddenly forgetting how to play. It was 9 p.m. There was a lot in the day. My hands were cramped on this damn thing. Call it John's. This is my diary. I can say and feel whatever I want. Hashtag my feelings are valid. But I took a deep breath, got the snack, made sure I was being hydrated and all that crap, including some leftover Easter candy, and remembered Smash 4 Sonic goals, and most importantly, cross-ups. I missed crossing up so much in Smash, and how spin charge goes through Rob's gyro but not spin dash. So all of a sudden, things changed. What made it so cozy and just a chill, casual time is, one, it's 3DS Smash, but I was also on my couch the entire run, so there was just no pressure. It was just competitively enjoyable. So that's everything that happened in April. I can't believe it. I mean, we did so much so quickly, and there's still 5 months to go. I now have that list still of what I want to improve, especially when it comes down to my edge guarding, and of course neutral. That spacing between just moving with moments like this and calling burst ranges is what I'm struggling most right now, so I want to call that out and remain more grounded.